USDA's meal pattern. You want to definitely make sure that each meal that is delivered follows these meal patterns. Our food vendors are already trained, so there's not really much that you have to do on your end. But if you notice that every meal doesn't have at least 1 cup of milk, 2 ounces of meat or meat alternative, half a cup of vegetables, a fourth of a cup of fruit, or an ounce of grain or grain equivalent. For lunch and supper meals, you want to let us know. And then for snack, must have at least 1 cup milk, 1 ounce of meat or meat alternative, 3/4 of a cup of vegetables, 3/4 of a cup of fruit, and then 1 ounce of grain or grain equivalent. So temperature of meals, this is what I was going over a little bit beforehand. This will go a little bit more in detail for your question. Um, Hot meals must not be cooler than 135 degrees Fahrenheit before the food is removed from the Cambro or temperature control. And cold meals must not be warmer than 41 degrees Fahrenheit before the food is removed from the temperature control. So you definitely want to keep that in mind when you're taking temperature. This is because it could propose a safety hazard. Food is not within these temperature parameters. Um, I will say use your own discretion. If you remove food from the temperature control and the food may have been sitting out for a couple minutes and then you take the temperature and it's off by a few degrees, it's not the end of the world because obviously it's not going to hold temperature in the temperature control. So it's not going to hold temperature outside of the temperature control. So you want to make sure you're using your own discretion. But if temperature is off by 10 degrees or something egregious like that, that's when you want to call us and let us know so that we can issue you guys some replacement meals. For dry room temperature meals like muffins, those do not need to be tested. You want to make sure you clean your thermometer daily with room temperature water. Do not submerge digital section in water, only the probe. So just going over temperature of meals, continuing on, temperature of meals must be taken twice every day. So first when meals arrive, and then second just before serving meals. So uh, how many times do you have to take temperature?
2 times.
2 times. So I will say that if your serving time and the time that meals arrive are generally around the same time, say you serve at 2:30 and your meals get there at 2:15, it's okay to take the temperature just one time because you would have received meals and just be serving the meals 15 minutes prior, or sorry, 15 minutes after. But a lot of the times, especially with our food vendors, they have routes to many different schools. You might get your meals an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours before your serving time. So you want to make sure you're definitely taking temperature twice every day. So just before serving, you want to taste meals by placing the thermometer through or under the plastic covering. You want to test the meal while it's still inside the temperature control to give an accurate reading. You then want to insert the thermometer stem or probe into the thickest part of the product. You'll wait 10 seconds for the reading to stabilize before recording the temperature. If milk is provided, you must take the temperature by placing 2 milks side by side, and then you'll place the thermometer probe in between the 2 milk cartons to read the temperature. Any questions?
No, that's pretty clear.
Okay, cool. So upon removing meals from the Canberra coolers, you'll unload meals into serving table. You'll make sure your serving gloves are on, and you'll place individual meals into serving table as a unit. So this is where I said I'd go into a little bit more detail about the share table. So you definitely want to make sure the protein, fruit, vegetable, and milk are placed together. Students must be served a full meal, including all meal components. So all unwanted and unopened food components can be left at a share table for others to consume. So we get this a lot. Some of our sites ask, what if students come up and say, for instance, for the day you guys got a chicken sandwich, carrots, and an apple for supper. And say a student comes up and they only want an apple and a chicken sandwich, but they don't want the carrots. So obviously you can't force students to eat what they don't want, but they must be served initially the full supper meal, which means all meal components. So they must be served that initially, and whatever they don't want after they've been served, they can leave all unwanted and unopened food at a share table for others to consume. So you just designate a share table for all unopened, unwanted food that students don't want after being initially served, and that can serve as the spot for students that may want extra food or things like that to get from the share table. Any questions?
I have a question. Yeah.
Sure.
So if components like carrots
Hmm.
are on the share table, and then an adult wants or anyone else that's in the community comes to that share table, can they eat it? Is that fine?
Yeah, that's totally fine because at the end of the day, once you have put these meal components in front of the student each time, that counts as a meal served. So whether they eat it or not, whether they left it at a share table, it's already a meal served. You put it in front of them. So whatever's at the share table, adults, staff members can, have access to because it won't count as you serving them. The meal has been served to the student already by that time.
I see.
Hmm.
Okay.